everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Cowboy Greg. Actually, no, I'm not really a cowboy, but I am wearing a cowboy hat because today I'm going to take you on a quick little tour of Phoenix, Arizona. Before we get to it, just a reminder that on my videos I don't get compensated for anything, so these are my opinions. I'm just giving you some ideas. I don't get paid for that, so just so that you're aware. By the way, Phoenix is really hot, so make sure you bring some sunscreen because it's sunny and hot most of the year. Except when it rains, which they do get rain. Just pay attention to the weather forecast. Phoenix is a booming big city. It's got corporate operations there like Intel, Honeywell, Chase, Wells Fargo. It's a major hub for American Airlines as well. But from a tourist point of view, it gets a little bit overshadowed, I think, by its neighbor to the north, the sort of glitzy, glamorous Las Vegas, as well as Los Angeles to the west. But there's actually a lot to do in Arizona. It includes all the major sporting teams, conventions, resorts, a lot of outdoor activities, not to mention some of the world-famous natural wonders like Lake Powell and the Grand Canyon and places like Flagstaff and Tucson and Arizona. It's a mecca for retirees with Sun City and a whole bunch of other retirement 55-plus communities. But I'm not talking about those places this time. I'm going to share a few sites around Phoenix that maybe aren't as well known, and if you only have a day or two, these are some places that you might want to check out. So let's start in downtown Phoenix. There's the Convention Center and the Chase Field for baseball, the Diamondbacks, and there's the Phoenix Arena where the Suns basketball team plays. You can also see St. Mary's Roman Catholic Basilica, which is a beautiful historic architecture church. You can even dance with some naked statues in front of the Herberger Theater, which is a great performing arts center. If you stroll a few blocks to the east of there, you'll find the Heritage and Science Park District. It's literally across the street from Arizona State University's downtown campus. And actually, this area was recently renamed the Square PHX, which kind of looks cool in writing, but sounds kind of generic. So you might see it as Heritage and Science Park District still, but it's now called the Square Phoenix. Anyway, the Arizona Science Center Museum is there with a lot of great exhibits to look at. And if you're interested in historic architecture, the Rosson House Museum is there. It's a house that was built in 1895, which is pretty old for Phoenix. And actually, speaking of old, directly across the street from there is the Children's Museum of Phoenix, which only opened in 2008, so it's not that old, but it's housed in the fully renovated Monroe School building, which was built in 1913, a really impressive building. And it once was the largest elementary school west of the Mississippi. There's also a group of historic, smaller houses than the Rosson House, but historic houses that are right around that area that have a lot of new bars and restaurants. So there's plenty of things to do if you want to spend the day literally within a couple square blocks, that area. Of course, if you're into politics or you like to keep track of every state capital that you visit, the Arizona State Capitol building is just west of downtown. You can go straight west. It's a mile or two, and that's where they have a small museum. There's also a little park across the street you can wander through and enjoy that. The Capitol complex is interesting because the original Capitol building is fairly historic and pretty old, but they built additional buildings around it, and most of the buildings around it are from maybe the 1950s and 60s, maybe the 70s. They're very mid-century modern looking, so it's very much of a contrast between those two. Now, if politics isn't really your bag, maybe shopping is. See what I said there? The bag. For sure, you're going to head a few miles east of downtown to actually Scottsdale, the suburb next door to Phoenix, where the Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall is. And it really does have the widest selections of stores. It's probably the most upscale mall in all of Arizona. The architecture is pretty cool. Inside, it has excellent top restaurants in the area and some really high-end stores like you would expect, Rolex, Louis Vuitton, any of those big designer names you'll find most likely at the Fashion Square Mall. But if you're not part of a group or maybe not that into shopping, you could go to Scottsdale, and there's a really cool area literally just a few blocks away from the mall, which is historic downtown Scottsdale. It's a great place to look at and feel kind of like you're a cowboy because it's an old west kind of historic looking. The original Adobe Mission Church is there. It's got some really quaint Western style shops, rustic theme bars, restaurants. And like I said, you'll feel like you just step back into the wild, wild west. And if you really want to contrast that, just walk another block or so, because adjacent to historic downtown Scottsdale is the Scottsdale Civic Center. And that has really mid-century and modern architecture there. And it's really a contrast because you can literally walk between the two areas and see about 200 years worth of architecture style between the two of them. And I'll bet you didn't know that there are casinos in Phoenix. Yep. So if you want to get in a little gambling or see some entertainment or head to a couple of the restaurants, there's some just a short drive from downtown Phoenix. I hope you enjoyed this little tour of Phoenix. And if you did, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more. All right, until next time, take care.